Hello everyone, welcome back to Flying Solo with Kat. And the Acolyte is finally out. The first two episodes premiered on Tuesday, and I'm currently recording this Wednesday, so the next day. Just had a little bit of time to kind of think about my thoughts on these two episodes, and wow, that's what I'm going to start with. This is non-spoilers right now, so if you have not seen it, please just go watch it and then go ahead and listen to me talk. I will let you know when spoilers happen. But right now I'm going to say my non-spoiler review for the first two episodes. The choreography, the acting, cinematography, I mean, everything is done very, very well. Um, of course, and you can, of course, get this from just the write-up on the show, but it is a, murder mystery. And you really do feel the mystery aspects of it, and you never really know what's going to happen next. And stuff that you kind of do know that's going to happen happens very early on. So there's still a lot of mystery surrounding the show. These characters, you get so attached to them so quickly, which was really surprising for me because I feel like that was going to be a struggle. Quite honestly, that was a struggle for me for Andor, and trying to get connected more with Cassian. Now, of course, I connected with him. I connected with all of the other characters, especially Mon Mothma. But it took me a bit. With this show, it was like instantly the first episode, I was like, okay, what is this? I'm interested. And I think that's something that's really special, especially being placed in the High Republic era. It's such a peaceful time in Star Wars. There's no underlying threat, but with the mystery, of course, that's when we have that threat come in. And quite honestly, it's great. I loved it. I want to say so many of my thoughts online, but I do have a policy to where I'm not posting any spoilers till the Friday of each episode. That's just honestly to keep my fandom, kind of mentally sane because I know a lot of us are trying to, don't have time to watch it. When with Bad Batch, like I could not watch it like at all, like the day it released. It was like a couple days, as well as Ahsoka too. But with Acolyte, I had time yesterday after work and was able to just sit down and do it. And oh my god, it was so worth it. Um, so yeah, that is my non-spoiler review. I'm going to start getting into spoilers, talking about episode 1, then I'll talk about episode 2. Um, so just this is not spoilers. That is your warning. Please go watch it. And yeah, let's get on to episode. So you immediately start out with this big fight scene between Indara and May Osha. And it is done very well. It wasn't jarring in the sense of I was trying to, like, my eyes were twitching. It was actually really smooth, and visually appealing to look at, which I don't really have a lot of the times when it's these fight scenes, especially with Marvel movies. I hate to call it Marvel, but I with their choreography, sometimes I feel jarred, especially with the camera moving all around. With this, it was just one easy motion, and it felt very much kind of like the fight scenes in the prequels, but of course, without two lightsabers. So visually also was really bright and looked really good. I loved that there were aliens kind of mixed in, and that's kind of throughout the series, that they wanted to have that kind of be more present, of course, which I loved. I don't understand why the knives killed Andara. I felt like that was a bit cheap. Um, I don't know if the knives were poison maybe, or if it like just like stabbed her in a heart and she just couldn't live on. But I find that interesting, and that did kind of take me out. I hate to say that, but I was just like, oh, she's dead. Okay. So I feel like there could have been a little bit more gore to that, but that's not Star Wars. I was thinking about it last night. It's like, yeah, if she would have slit her throat, and then like really shoved the knife in, then I would have known she died. But that's not Star Wars. Star Wars does not go to those extremes because it's for kids. And as well, like I think it would just wanted to be self-explanatory. So I was okay with that kind of thinking after the fact, like, well, what could they have done? Of course, we learned that she can only use knives; she can't use a lightsaber. So that was interesting. OSHA or May um, seems to have like a definitely traumatized past. I liked how she didn't kill the bartender because of the child. It just, to me, I was like, oh, I'm already liking her. Like, she's a baddie, but also she's got trauma. And I mean, one of my favorite characters is Kylo Ren. Like, come on. So I definitely loved that. Pip is the cutest. I love him. I need him. Bro, if they have a Pip at Galaxy's Edge, my wallet's already crying from the Funko Pops. If you've not seen me tweet yesterday before the premiere, they had the Funko Pop released and stuff. And yeah, they look amazing, and I'm already know I'm gonna probably end up getting OSHA and Soul, definitely. So, but Pip, oh my god, literally the cutest. It was interesting to see the Trade Federation. I think that was great as well. I knew I was expecting them, but it was nice to see them. I did not like Yord going into it. He feels very like he lets fear control him, truly. Um, and I wasn't on the Yord Horde, which is what everyone's calling it on Twitter. My thoughts did change through episode 2, but of course I'm reading my notes for episode 1. So at that point, I did not like Yord, but I say you just got to keep with him, and I think he's gonna get better throughout the series. Um, so OSHA has a sister. The twin theory was correct, which I really don't think they were trying to like hold back because they showed both young actresses at the premiere, and I think it was kind of confirmed. Um, but I'm glad it wasn't treated as like this big mystery. Um, and it was very early on because immediately when the episode I'm like, hey, I know it's her twin that's doing all the murders and stuff, but they're gonna blame it on OSHA. And like, can I just say, like, I do not like the misunderstood. That's not the right word. I don't. How can I word this correctly? When clearly a character, we know as the audience, the character has done nothing wrong, and yet everyone else does not trust her. Really, to me, that's an annoying plot line, especially, and it gets annoying quite fast because she was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't do it. I'm not doing it," and yet she inserts herself into situations to where it looks like she's done it. I'm just like, can you stick with the group, please? Like, just So thankfully, that kind of got squashed quickly, especially in episode 2. But episode 1, I was starting to get concerned because I'm like, oh shoot, like she's literally gonna have to stand trial, and like that's gonna be so annoying because we know she didn't do it, and it's frustrating a lot of times when you're reading or watching a character or characters bash another character when we know they did nothing wrong. I'm not a huge fan of those plot lines. Now, granted, that's my personal opinion. Some people like it, some people don't. It is what it is. We learn a little bit more about OSHA's past. That she was 8 years old. Her family's all died, all dead. Her sister is not dead, but she thought she was dead. We get to see Coruscant, how open it looks. I feel like that was great. Venestra. Now, granted, I've only, of course, started reading. I'm at chapter 5 for Light of the Jedi, which, if you have not seen the audiobook that I posted for chapters 2 through 4, go watch that, please. But yeah, it was great to see her in live action. I didn't have as much as a connection to Venestra as I know a lot of people did. But it's still cool to see her. Soul teaching the younglings. I'm already a huge Soul fan. Like, it's not even funny. I think he's one of my favorite Jedi since probably he gives me Qui-Gon vibes, and I know he actually like um JJ as the cast call him, that he studied Qui-Gon Jinn and his kind of mannerisms and everything, and it gives major Qui-Gon vibe. And I love Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon is such a good character and something I really miss from the prequels. I know he was only in Phantom Menace, but still, I do wish that he was in it more, just because he had such this calming presence. And every time Solo's on screen, I just sigh. It's just he's so calming in how he talks, and just he seems like he truly does care, but he's got some trauma, and I'm loving that. Um, Solon and Dara were friends, and I mean, of course, we soon learned that there were four people on that Brendock. Okay, little small tangent. I was taking notes while I was watching the show, and this is how much the sequels and Hux has just completely contorted my brain, and I do have a problem. Because she was like, when you found me on Brendock, and I heard Brendol, and I looked up so quickly. I don't even care what time it is. This is the High Republic. This is even before the Republic, before the Empire, before Palpatine. Like, just it was that word. It was so funny. It just was anyway, that, that was something that happened. And but also I will never forget Osha's home planet. So that's also a great plus too. So that happened, but there were four Jedi that were stationed on Brendock, and of course that's where Osha's from, and I guess they saved her. It's like we keep getting pieces together, but we're piecing it together not through flashbacks, which I like. That's a good thing because it's an unreliable narrator in a sense, right? We really don't know who's going to tell the truth or what they saw on that day. Soul thought May died, right? But clearly she didn't. So, what happened? Another interesting thing is that Osha can't use the Force. She was a Jedi Padawan, but then she left the order. So her like struggling with the Force and not being able to tap into it is really cool and really interesting, and something that I loved when we had Sabine doing that in Ahsoka. And I'm glad they're kind of, oh, and Obi-Wan in Obi-Wan Kenobi. He really struggled because he hadn't tapped into the Force. Jackie, who's Soul's Padawan, she's really cute, and I'm happy that they didn't make Jackie really like untrustful of Osha or even mean to Osha. For me, I feel like that's not the point. And I feel like if Souls taught Jackie anything, it would be to, accept all possible paths. And she's really sweet. I love Jackie, and I really hope to see more of her. She seems kind of more of a background character in a sense, with episode 1 and episode 2. But I hope she kind of gets more of the spotlight and gets to talk with Osha a bit more, because I think they have actually a lot of common. One of my favorite quotes from episode 1 and I guess 2, this is probably going to be the one for the whole series, but Soul says, "If we don't meditate on the past, we are doomed to repeat it." Which I think is a very Star Wars thing of saying, don't forget your history, right? History repeats itself, and don't be stupid. And I think, I mean, especially right now, in our world, I feel like in the Star Wars world, in our world, that is so prevalent, and something that it seems so easy for them to say. And I wish, of course, we were the same in the real world. Um, but that line really stuck out to me and was a great, great quote. So, of course, it gets confirmed. May and Osha are twins. Thank God. Super early. May wants vengeance on the Jedi, which I will talk about in episode 2 because I have my theories. And then Soul actually saves Osha, and Soul and Osha give me the father daughter vibes, and thank you Star Wars. Give me all that yummy yummy father daughter stuff because we got the Bad Batch, we got Mando, like we got Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. Oh yeah. I love it. It's great. The mysterious voice at the end of episode 1, I immediately thought of Ultron. I was like, "Oh, this is giving Ultron." Huh. It was like Ultron and Darth Vader had a baby. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the masked toothy guy that we saw in the stuff, and I believe he is a Sith because he did have a red lightsaber. But I don't think May is a Sith. She's an acolyte, which of course he says an acolyte kills without a weapon, which I thought, okay, like, is that just a saying, or do they actually have to do that? What is this, an acolyte order? It's not Sith. It is not Sith, but they do use the Force, but it's in a different way. And of course, my answer immediately, or my question immediately gets answered. When May, episode 2, immediately gets bested by a force field. And it was really funny. And I kind of laughed. And yeah, I wasn't expecting that, and how she just kind of. I don't know. It almost seemed like she wasn't expecting that. And I found that interesting. Um, so she gets bested by a force field. Um, Torben says twin theory, which I thought that was really funny because we've all been theorizing online, especially on this channel as well, about the twin theory and if that is truly going to happen. And I'm happy it did. I think it makes this, honestly, the show way more interesting. Of I mean, we're focusing on 4 or 5 character motivations of these different people that are all different. None of their motivations are the same. And I'm still wondering about Saul, who feels like he failed. What is his motivation to get May and even Osha back? He seems to, quite honestly, worry about May more than Osha right now. And then Osha is even experiencing her own vengeance, which I'll talk about in a second. I talked about hating the trope of being misunderstood, all of that, but they rectified that with. So May tries to, of course, kill the Jedi again. I don't really remember his name. And she goes in. The group is also there. So you have the Jedi, then you have May that's trying to kill him in there with poison. And then you have Osha. And Osha decides, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go off on my own because there's a known killer with my face, out, and it's really good for me to leave the group. So they can all pin it on me. And I was like, dude, seriously, stay with the freaking group. But Torben, the man, this is why I'm on the Torben train. But that's not what it is, but I can't remember it. He follows her. Thank God. Because when she's there standing inspecting the poison and they all walk in and then they're like, what did you do? And then she was like, hey, it looks really bad. And they were like, you're under arrest I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm so freaking done. And then thankfully Torben, the man, the myth, the legend, comes behind and said, no, she didn't do it. I was behind her the whole time. Like, thank you. Thank God. Like, oh my gosh. I was about to literally cry and roll my eyes if it had been another freaking, oh, well, no. Now it's confirmed that she did it and everything. So, thank God. I'm so happy. I was jumping for joy in that sense. I was like, yes. May has to do without a weapon to please her masters. So she was really struggling with killing the one Jedi that was in I think it's the Drayden Vow, Droden Vow, which is basically where you meditate for upon decades because you have done something so wrong in the eyes of the Force and the Jedi that it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it in the real world sense, but I believe like kind of how monks take an oath to kind of go and just meditate by themselves. That was kind of the vibe I was getting. But it's called, I think, the Drowden Vow, which has also been brought up in High Republic. So it was cool to actually see that and then read about it on Twitter and be like, oh no, this has been mentioned before. So I did have to do a little bit of research, but it was cool to kind of see that and talk about that. So because she has to do it without a master, she, you know, goes with poison, which, is fair. And Quimar, is so charismatic. And of course, it's the guy who played um, the one dude from The Good Place. I know this is such a professional podcast. You're welcome. Uh, but he had just the kind of that timidness, but as well as he knew what he was talking about. And I liked that. That was really, really cool for me to see. And it was like that character, he just morphed into that character to where it was both him from The Good Place, but also the Star Wars ness of it. And it didn't jar me at all. I thought it was, and people were saying, like, I think people were messing with my mind on Twitter because they were like, I don't know how this is gonna go, and I was kind of like, yeah, me too. Like, I don't know if this is gonna be good. No, it's fine. I really didn't mind, and I actually really liked his character. Um, and of course, he supplies her with the poison. And I guess they might have the same master, or he at least knows who her master is. So that's quite interesting. And something that I thought he was going to kind of be a one off character. But by the end of episode two, he takes her to basically go find Kalekna, which is the Wookiee Jedi. So he seems to be, he's going to be present in there. And that's interesting to me. What is his relationship with May and how does that correlate? So it's exciting. Um, Osha explaining the tattoo to Soul was literally the best thing I've seen and was just so real. And something that I think a lot of people can relate to, as well as it was written very clear and very, very well. I was very surprised. Um, and just, it was like that small banter that you get even more connected with these characters. And it feels like we're taking the time. Now, there are only 8 episodes in season one, and it's kind of been confirmed that they're going to get a season two. I think with the overarching support. Now, of course, you have people that are review bombing it because they can't take a black woman being the star of a TV show. I don't know why that's so hard for people to comprehend. Um, but they are review bombing it. But it premiered with an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very good. Not that that matters. Please do not go based off of percentages because that's BS at the end of the day. My favorite movie from 2023 was 65, and that one just did not do well in the box office or even percentage wise, but I enjoyed it. If you enjoy Acolyte or any other Star Wars TV show, you enjoy it. But don't go based off of percentages or how much it's making back because you're never going to be happy with what it is. I'm sorry, you're not. I think there's only a few movies to get like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's almost impossible to ever get. I don't think even Oppenheimer went with 100. I think it was like 98 or something. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. Um, but I just thought just the show's so real, and I think people are really connecting with it well because it takes that time. And I felt like I had enough information by the end of episode two that I wasn't like, how are they going to tie this all in together? Like, how are we going to have enough time to really spend with these characters when we're focused on the plot? And I feel like it's handled well with how much plot we have, how much character development we have. Like, when we're at episode two, like we still have 6 episodes left. Like to me, that's a lot of time to build on a lot of things and to have me satisfied. We've already killed 2 Jedi out of the 4. One is Kolekna, which we're going to see him next episode in episode 3, and then we have Soul. So there's only 2 left out of the 4. So I wasn't happy that they drew that out to where we would only be getting to Kolekna and Soul like episode 7, right? So I'm very happy about that, and the pacing is really enjoyable for me. I like fast pacing, but I like it in the sense that you are getting a lot into these episodes. They are 45-minute episodes, okay? And what I struggled with the Bad Batch, which I know those are 30-minute episodes, but it also had 12 episodes instead of 8, was that I felt like I wasn't getting enough story. I wasn't getting enough plot. I was getting overabundance of character development, which is great, but you need to have that fine balance. And with this show currently, it is having a really nice balance between the two, and I really do appreciate that. Yeah, so Torben, who is the Jedi that takes the poison, just takes it. He's like, yeah, no, this is better than, or, death is better than whatever this is. So I find that interesting. What did he do? Why does he feel so guilty about it? It's interesting. And Osha walks right into May's trap. By being basically caught. So it seems like May is kind of wanting her to take the blame, which is interesting. I wonder if there is a rivalry there, but it doesn't really seem like it. They use May as a kind of, sorry, not a May. They use Osha to be May when talking to Quimar, which I thought that was kind of cool. And something that I feel like was a good choice story-wise to take advantage of. Yord says, I have a bad feeling about this. He was the true one. They said it. I didn't know if they were going to say it, because sometimes they don't say it in the TV shows, but I was so happy that he said it. It was great. Soul confronts May. That was a great fight scene. There wasn't much dialogue there, but I'm not mad about it. I think it was a decent kind of opening, like, okay, they have at least met, they know they're alive. May didn't realize Osha was alive. Like, what? Because Osha's been getting these visions of young May and herself, and she's like, I'm alive, I'm gonna kill all the Jedi, right? Which is freaking creepy. But I wonder if that can't be May then. If she didn't know that even Osha was alive. I wonder if that's May's master. That's kind of messing with her mind and doing a whole, I can help you. I can save you from, your vengeance or whatever the hell. So I wonder if that's why. And if her master knew that Osha was alive, did he withhold that information from May? There are a lot of things that I still don't know, but this is what a show should do with the first 2 episodes, is keep me on the edge of my seat and wanting it to be Wednesday again. Because yeah, it for me, there's still so much I want to know, and it's already engrossed me into this world, and I'm shocked. I really thought this was going to be more Andor. Now, granted, this is the first 2 episodes. I still don't know. But I was hoping it wasn't going to be too dark, but it was still going to have some like family elements and everything, but still have that mystery and angst. And quite honestly, they've handled that perfectly. So what I got from episode 2 was Osha wants revenge on May, and May wants revenge on the Jedi. May didn't know that Osha was alive, and Osha didn't know that May was alive, but because May knew, or now knows, that Osha is alive, does that stop her from killing Soul? But Osha seems to want vengeance on May, so will that ultimately turn her to the dark side, becoming the new May, and then May becomes the new Osha, helping Soul save Osha? That was pretty impressive. That was. Can I get a little round of applause, please? But yeah, there's still so many things. I think Osha having a vengeance for her own sister, and then May kind of being like, "Oh my God, you're alive!" Like, LOL, hi. I think is really interesting and humanizes May in the sense that, she is there and has a voice. And I think that's going to create a really interesting dynamic between Soul, Osha, and May. So basically, my theory for this entire series, right now that I have episode 1 and 2, and this is, I mean, I literally do not know if this is true or not, but my theory is that the Jedi started the fire that killed May and Osha's parents. They blamed it on May, who maybe was questioning the Jedi or doing something, and they took Osha with them because of the Force. I still don't know though. Soul doesn't seem like that type of guy to do it. So I wonder if it was Undara and Torben who kind of, started it. Kalekna, I hope he's not evil. But also, it's interesting that like Torben and Kalekna seem to be hiding out and did something really bad, while Undara and Soul seem to be like, no, we moved on. So I'm interested to see how that plays out and what happens. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 1 and 2. Are you liking the show? Is it for you? If it's not for you, it's totally okay. I would still implore you to continue watching the show. For me, Andor wasn't my thing, but the first 3 episodes of Andor were really, really good. So, there's still a lot of show left to make my final judgment, but at the moment, I am really liking it. And it is something that um, overall I think has been done really, really well. And I'm happy everyone's been really receptive to it and really excited about it. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.